One of the weird kind of juggling acts you have to do in this gig sometimes is finding a way to talk about something that is by no means bad, but you absolutely did not enjoy. Patreon commissioned review this time. We Are Lady Parts. This is a series out of the UK. It was created and a fair amount of it written and directed by someone who actually did directing on Doctor Who during the Chibnall era. Directed Fugitive of the Jadoon and the Nikola Tesla one. That's the name. I looked at it right before I sat down on the camera, and I'm really afraid that I'm now misremembering what it is, and I don't want to do that. But this is the story of a group of 5 young Muslim women of I don't know how to word this. I don't know if it's like different degrees of devotion, different denominations. Like I don't know the shades and differences of being a practicing Muslim, but like some are, clearly a little bit more committed into it in terms of their dress and other things. Some are a little bit more loose with it. That having been said, this is centered around them being a punk band, drummer, 3 guitarists, and the manager. Now, the main point of view character on this is Anima, and she is the newest addition. She can play guitar quite well. She doesn't perform, though. She teaches because she has crippling stage fright. But they need a guitarist, and, things kind of mesh together. So, as I said, I need to try and talk about why I did not enjoy watching this really at all, but also to explain it is not bad. What it is decidedly is not for me. And it's not for me kind of all the way down. I am lacking points of connection in terms of the leanings of the music. I didn't think the music was bad, but it's not the kind of music I normally listen to. So I'm not really hooking into it that way. I don't really know a lot about the culture it's depicting. So I can't really hook into it that way. That having been said, though, the much bigger problem, because those are things that could have been overcome. The far bigger problem is, while I would not go so far as to describe the entire show, or at least the season that I watched, 6 episodes, the first season, I watched all 6. While I would not necessarily feel it's accurate to describe the show as a whole as a romantic comedy, what it very much has is romantic comedy energy. And part of the reason I don't watch a lot of romantic comedies is they have a tendency, not 100% of the time, but they have a very strong tendency to lean into embarrassment and cringe comedy. And another plot line that will very heavily lean into that kind of thing is anytime a character is deliberately deceiving the people around them, especially if they are juggling multiple lies. Guess what our main POV character is doing? So yeah, there is a lot of cringe in this. And even setting the cringe aspect aside, which again, that's a personal taste thing. If you don't mind or even enjoy cringe comedy, cool, awesome, have a good time. I don't. Like, I have such a visceral negative reaction to embarrassment-based comedy, which nearly all cringe is. So I did not have a lot of fun with this, and it's kind of further complicated by the fact that our main POV character, or at the very least the only one who we actually hear the inner thoughts of, it's not like everything's filtered through Anima's perspective. Like, we see scenes with the characters that aren't her, so it's, we get more of them. But she's the only one whose thoughts we hear. And I cannot relate to her at all. Now, this is not me saying she's unbelievable or even unlikable. Actually, I'll note this right now. The entire cast, very charismatic performance, and they have great chemistry with each other. So again, if the things that are a problem for me aren't for you, then there's probably a lot to like here. And this is kind of where I want to stress. I feel like I can safely say This is a very good iteration of what it wants to be, but what it wants to be is something that I do not want and do not enjoy. It's like taking me to a great sushi restaurant. I don't like sushi. You could have the best sushi in the world put in front of me. I am just not somebody you should be taking to a sushi restaurant because I will never like it. Sorry. That's kind of what it feels like watching this. But anyway, coming back to Anima and why it was so hard for me to connect with her, there's the obvious cultural barrier. Again, that's something I can get over and have for some other projects, TV, movies, etc. But there's also the fact that and again, it's not that I don't believe that this happens, but it's something that I cannot connect to. She is a graduate. She's working on her PhD. And yet, her primary focus before she gets involved with the band, and even once she's involved with the band, I would say her close secondary focus is finding a man to be married to. And that level of hang up and obsession with not being single and find somebody and the kinds of people she is willing to go on dates with just trying to avoid being single is something I cannot, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand that at all. And it's almost kind of weird because like there have been very few extended periods in my adult life where I have been single, but I just don't get it. I can't wrap my head around it. And the just general way that she approaches and her priorities, and also like I'd say the one character connection that rang kind of off for me is between Anima and her best friend, who isn't in the band, but like this is a best friend that she, doesn't tell about the band she's in. There's this whole thing that she gets into lying to her best friend about a guy who she's not really seeing, but she has a crush on, but they got set up on a date because it helped her get into the band by making that connection, but he was never really into her. So when he says that, she kind of feels in this awkward situation because she was really already thinking about, oh, we're going to be together and it's going to be amazing. And she tells her best friend, but then he kind of is like, no, I just want to be friends. But her best friend has already been like, oh, bring him to my engagement party. And so like there's this weird tangle of lies she's dealing with. And anyway, like that's the kind of cringe shenanigans very typical to romantic comedies that I do not enjoy watching at all. About the only time I've been able to deal with anything that dealt with that kind of layer of lying and deception and misunderstanding and can't you just lie for me on this one case, and then it gets like literally they have a point in her voiceover where she goes, can this get any worse? And I said out loud, of course it can, and it will. And then of course something happened that it did, because that's what these things are. The only show that I've ever watched that is like that I really managed to get there and in fact love is Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, but it's because it was doing that stuff but in order to subvert and do other things with it. This is playing it a bit more straight. While of course there is the twist of like the kinds of characters and people and underrepresented characters and people and actors and creators in this kind of space, and like all that's great, but the basic core beats and energy is still typical of the genre, and I don't enjoy it at all. But anyway, I got on that whole thing just trying to point out about the one relationship I didn't really buy was between Anima and her best friend, because like they just seem to have this weird contentious relationship right from the start. And it felt like one of those things like, I guess I'm supposed to buy that they're best friends because they've known each other for a long time, but I'm looking at them and their interactions and how quick they are to either judge or lie to each other and going, why are you still friends? Like, why? Why am I supposed to have any investment in whether or not this relationship is in jeopardy? Because I don't. Because I don't think you two should be friends, actually. I don't think it's good for either one of you. But I don't think the show agrees with me on that. And again, like maybe it's just a relationship dynamic. Maybe it's something that makes more sense if you kind of grew up more enmeshed in either UK culture, Muslim culture, or just being around women. Like I've been around women even when I was young. I think since about definitely since college, I've had more friends who were women than men. But at the same time, I've never been enmeshed in that and those dynamics, or like understand what a girls' night is or anything like that. So again, it's kind of working on multiple layers, none of which I can connect to or relate to. But it is a really interesting premise. And again, there's a lot of great charisma from the performers, and the music, while I did say it's something I can't really connect to, that's not to say that I disliked the music. I actually did enjoy the bits of music that we get. There's usually at least one highlighted song per episode, and I did enjoy them, be they songs that I'm pretty sure were original, or be they sort of punk covers of songs that I knew. Either way, I did enjoy them. The reason I mentioned that earlier, though, is because I didn't enjoy them enough that it could compensate for other stuff that wasn't working for me. That's kind of what I meant when I said, like, I didn't really latch onto it. The music wasn't a reason for me to want to keep going, and I won't lie, I didn't. But again, this has to do with me and my taste. But I had almost no fun with this. I suppose the one other thing that I'm going to mention casually, just because I feel like if I don't, somebody's going to bring it up in the comments. There is an overt Harry Potter reference. Basically, one of the songs is kind of built around a Harry Potter reference. And like, given who the characters are and what the reference is, it's kind of clever. But at the same time, I am at a point in my life where I really shouldn't have to explain that, be it a person, TV show, movie, or whatever, the casual dropping of a Harry Potter reference with no asterisk or footnote on it, it kind of inherently makes me uncomfortable. You know, it's like seeing somebody walking around in their Hogwarts house shirt. Like, that's going to make me nervous. Because, yeah, it's distinctly possible that you have done your best to distance yourself from her and you're not buying new things related to Harry Potter, or you do not wish to support her or whatever else. But, like, if you're comfortable wearing that stuff, that's going to make me tense because I cannot assume any of that. So that was a moment that... Oh, and as far as timing goes, this came out in 2021, and that's usually my cutoff. Like, into late 2020, I'll make some allowances, usually just because of what the turnaround time on making stuff is. But by 2021, like, yeah, stuff released 2021 and on, like, yeah, if you drop a Harry Potter reference, I'm going to kind of... But again, I don't want to overharp on that. I just know somebody would bring it up if I didn't. This kind of sucks for me to talk about because, again, I'm pretty sure that for what this is and what it's representing and the genre that it's in, it's actually pretty good. But I couldn't tell you. This is in a genre I don't enjoy. Based off a culture that I do not know a ton about. I'm more than willing to learn, but it's made in a way that feels like it is more interested in connecting with people who are either part of that culture or have a connection to a culture that is similar to this. I have neither. And again, it's speaking, I think, to a young woman experience that I don't have. So it's just all this stuff that I don't doubt if some, or definitely if all of this is stuff that you can relate to and connect to, and especially if this is your genre and you either don't mind or enjoy cringe style humor, embarrassment humor, give it a shot. I'm sure you'll have a pretty good time. Me? No. Just no. Yeah. That's just kind of where I'm at. Again, like I feel like a restaurant critic having to give a review for a restaurant that served me stuff I'm allergic to. Not fatally allergic to, but like I wasn't going to have a pleasant dining experience. Food metaphor. Second food metaphor in the same video. Food metaphors are so hack. I gotta stop doing that. Sometimes it's just where my brain goes regardless. I'm gonna wrap it up, I think. We Are Lady Parts. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Hopefully I approached this gently enough that people understand I don't think it's bad. It's just not for me. But whatever your thoughts are, either on the thing itself or what I said about it, drop your thoughts down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills and enables me to do this as my living. Even if you can't help me out that way, like, share, subscribe. Those all help as well. Don't worry too much about it. We take a relaxed attitude around here. So you can just come on back next time you need a break. And now to thank my highest supporting patrons: Robin Moore, Jared Boyce, Zubin Lupfula, Auntie Kate 808, Mira G, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, Movie Turtle, Oliver B, Sean Miller, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Melissa Pedersen, Mary Mello, Becky Sparks, Loki Eris, Tracy Scrabbit, Pal Barabajoggle, and Sir Didymus is my favorite. Don't worry, the rats are all fine, but my rat wrangler is not here right now, and I thought we could have Archie say hi. Or not.